Hello, me again. It's been a while. It's only been 3 weeks since the last video, but it's been a good couple months since I've actually made a video. Went on a holiday. Still got a little bit of the old brown, not much though. Went to Gran Canaria for a couple of weeks. Very nice. Nice to get out in the sun. 35 degrees every day. A bit much for me. A bit much for my my thick southwest blood. And then we come back to the UK and it's 18 degrees, raining every day, so great. Haven't been able to drive the Spit very much, but I have been out in it a few times. So, picking up where we left off last time, the head gasket issue. It was the head gasket. We had a heat wave in the UK. It was again like 35 degrees every day. We put the new fan in the car, the electric fan, and it was getting hot. Not overly hot, but it was getting hot, hotter than it used to. Normally the temperature gauge would sit bang on, smack bang in the middle. Now it was leaning over sort of 3/4 on the gauge, which I didn't really like. Whilst it was stable and it wasn't maxing out, there was no steam coming out the bonnet or anything like that, it was clearly getting hotter than it should do, or at least than I want it to. And everything under the bonnet was hot. Everything just felt hot. The carbs felt hot. You know, everything was really hot. So hot you couldn't touch it. The thermostat housing, even though it's made of plastic, you couldn't keep your finger on it for a second. It was red hot. Same with the top of the radiator. All the hoses were red hot, which I suppose in a way is a good thing because it means the radiator is actually doing its job. The thermostat is opening, it's circulating the hot air, but I don't think the air was being cooled sufficiently. So that brings us on to sort of where we are now. Now, pleased to report the new head gasket seems to be fine. I've driven the car probably 5-6 times since that last video, had it up to temperature, come back, no problem at all. I had a tiny little bit of white in the inside of the oil filler cap, but when I pulled the rocker cover off, there was no white, no gunge in the head at all, on the valves at all. So I think that's probably just moisture from the, moisture in the air condenses, rises to the top of the cap. I'm guessing that's pretty normal. No oil in the water or anything else like that. The oil is actually still absolutely crystal clear. I used a tin of that engine flush last time and it seems to have done the job because I've had fresh oil in it. I've driven it 5 or 6 times, and even now when you check the dipstick for the oil, you can't see the oil on the dipstick. It is so clear that you can't see it. Now normally whenever you do an oil change in a car, within a day or two of driving it again, the oil's black or brown. But this one, it's that engine flush seems to have done a good job because, like I say, it still looks like brand new oil. So that's nice. So I'll take the car outside in a minute and show you. See what I mean about the airflow, but I'll show you here with the bonnet closed. If you look to the front of the car, you can see that where the grille is, there's a number plate in the way. And it actually obscures, and again, I've never really noticed it before until now, but you can see that it obscures probably 90% of the actual grille. How the hell is the airflow supposed to get around that plate? You can go around the side, you can go on top. You've got a bit of a gap there above the chrome bumper, where my bonnet doesn't fit particularly well. And you've got a little bit underneath, and obviously whatever is underneath the car. But that's a lot of airflow to restrict from the number plate. So here's the problem with the old Spit. You can see the grille down here is, again, the bonnet's up at the moment, so there's normally a bit more of a gap, but the number plate takes up almost the entire grille. You've only really got this front sort of valance splitter, whatever you want to call it, to feed air up. And even then there's a lip on it which comes back towards me. So the amount of air that goes through this isn't good, basically. So it's one thing to stand in here, look at the front of the rad and go, well, yeah, there's still plenty of room for air to flow through, but again, there really isn't, is there? So I think I've got one of 3 choices. So the first and most obvious choice is quite simply that I just put the original fan back on. That will alleviate the problems, we know, because we ran it for however long, 6 months or so with the original fan on, and I never had any overheating problems. The temperature only ever went to the middle. So clearly the original fan works, as you'd expect being an OEM part. The other option, of course, is that I take the electric fan off the front of the radiator and put it on the back. Now, originally I wanted to keep it on the front if possible, just to give me a little bit more space in around there, in case I want to get in, check the timing and that kind of thing. But I suppose if it's running right, how often do you need to get in there and check the timing? Not very often, really. Let's be honest. If it's set, it's set. Unless your distributor starts wandering, or you get other issues, you don't really need to get in there. So I think that's I said 3, didn't I? No, I only meant 2. Original fan, or swap it around. The third would be to leave it as is, and I don't want to leave it as is because I don't like my temperature being higher than it should be. So I guess we'll move the rad to the back. Try that, so I can still use the electric rad, and then if that doesn't give me any joy, then we know we need to go back to the original fan to keep everything cool. I don't know of any other way that I can make the airflow better, other than removing the number plate, as some people do, and putting a vinyl sticker on the bonnet, which some people do. I don't like that. I don't really want to do that. I quite like the old-fashioned sort of plates. The old silver and black plates, if you're in the UK, the old silver and black plate is like, it just says classic, and I don't know how the feeling is for those plates in the rest of the world. I guess you have your own plates. But over here, that's, it's like a sort of badge of honour in a way. And I don't want to get rid of that plate. So I can either Swiss cheese it, drill a little holes in the plate to improve the airflow, or the other thing I could do, which I've seen on other cars, and I believe they have them on the factory Spit, or maybe the GT6, where they actually have a scoop at the front which directs the airflow up directly through the rad and stops it blowing past it. I could even buy something like that, or I could make something like that. I've got plenty of plastic or aluminium down in the workshop. I could bolt something in here between the rad and the bracket to go down to the front there, and then actually have a scoop at the bottom to actually pull the air up and through the rad. That's another option. There's enough space in behind the rad there to put the fan in. That's not an issue. It's quite slim. Maybe that's the thing. And that way I can still get in there and check the timing without losing my fingers. Decisions. Blue sky. You know what that means, don't you? Got to give the old car a wash, don't we? Because she is minging. I haven't washed it in a few weeks, and it just seems to get really dirty. I don't know if it's the paint colour or it's just something to do with the aerodynamics of the car. I don't know. It just gets dirty. So we're going to give her a wash. There she is. See what I mean? It is hanging. Looks alright from a distance, but up close, no bueno. So, seeing as though it's the weekend and it's a nice day, let's get it clean, and then we will move that radiator to the other side somehow. I haven't quite figured that out yet, but we'll do that. And then we'll take her out for a spin. It's a nice day. Maybe head down the woods, see the squirrels, and see how the temperature behaves. Let's go. Oh yeah, looking better already. Just need to give the old tonneau cover a quick wash. 2 buckets, guys, that's all you need. 1 bucket warm soapy water, 1 bucket with cold water. Do a panel at a time. Soap it up, rinse it off, work your way around the car, do the wheels last. Job done. I'm not one of these guys who goes to car washes. It's not me. If it's you, then fine. But it's not me. I'm not going to pay money to have someone else wash my car for me when I can do it myself with a couple buckets and it's going to take me half an hour. I don't get it. Bonk, she done. Chamoised off. I haven't polished it, I will one day. Giving the interior a quick lick. Clean the glass, clean all the leather, clean the seats, etc, etc. Right. Fan off the front, nice and easy. However, snag, we're a bit short on space. I can get it almost to the centre. I've got about 4 inches on that side and probably 2 inches on that side. So it's not exactly in the centre, but that shouldn't make that much difference, I hope. Problem of course is the snout of the old water pump pulley is now pressing against the fan. It's only just touching. So simple thing, I'm just going to slip a couple of washers in here, which is going to pitch the radiator forwards a little bit and hopefully give me a bit more space down there. Just literally 2 washers width should do it, I think. Let's give it a go. So I can get a bit of space at the top. Put my 2 washers on, it gives me a bit of space at the top, but obviously no space at the bottom. The bottom edge still touches, as you'd expect, because again, you've only kicked the top edge forward by putting the 2 washers in. All it essentially does is angles it slightly like that. So I've got clearance at the top, but down the bottom it's still touching. Do I just put the old fan back in? Don't want to. The other thing I can do is, this fan has a lip on the side facing my face. See that ridge on it there? Oh, you can't see it. Hang on, let me put it down. So we've got this lip that runs around it. Now the fan blades themselves, you can see they don't actually come near the edge. It's hard to show on the camera because I tilt it over, it disappears. But you've got about 5mm of excess plastic there. Now it would mean cutting these off, but we're not actually using these, we're using the plastic clips that go in here. So to my way of thinking, as long as I don't cut all the way up to that line, let me get a clip and I'll show you what I mean. As long as there is enough there to stop that clip. Get in, you bastard. Okay, it doesn't want to go in, but you know what I mean. As long as there's a little lip there to stop that clip essentially sliding all the way through, then we should be good. So if I get an angle grinder with a cutting disc and come in along this line halfway, essentially just taking the width of this edge off all the way along, it should give me the clearance I need. Okay, that was actually much quicker and easier than I thought. Ran the grinder along it, chop, choppity chop, 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 and we're good. And then thinking about it, all I have to do is just glue those clips back in. Didn't have to worry about keeping enough meat on the bottom of them to hold the clip at all. So that's what we're going to do. Put those 4 clips back in, glue them in, and remount and see if it fits. Smug face alert. Have a look. And she's in there, and see the clearance? Hang on. Oh yeah, we got clearance. Granted it's only a few mil, but clearance nonetheless. I don't think that water pump pulley is going to oscillate. If it does, I've got bigger issues than the fan. So that seemed to work. I've used cable ties this time rather than those horrible push-through things. I didn't like those from the beginning, they look ugly as shit. Cable ties don't look a huge amount better, but yeah, they're just better. So now I need to just wire it back up, remembering to reverse the wiring. So now it's back to its original direction of travel, which was pulling rather than pushing. And that should be it. Shouldn't affect the rest of the wiring. Plug it in, see what happens. If there's flames, it was wrong. Right, she's done. She should be, so let's give it a whirl. Ignition on, switch on. Oh yeah. Test it with a bit of the old vape. They're working nicely. So, I suppose the only thing left to do now is to fire her up, take it for a spin. I'll leave the bonnet open, make sure that nothing's binding in there on the water pump pulley. Shouldn't be. And yeah, we'll take her out for a little spin and see what's what. Better, but still on the high side. What's that? About 180, 190? So there we go. So we took her out for a quick spin, not far, 2 or 3 miles just to get up to temperature. As before, the temperature sort of went up to around 200-ish. I flicked the switch on just to pull the fan on manually, just in case the thermostat, the fan thermostat wasn't doing its thing. I'm sure it is, but you know. Hit the switch and it dropped down to about 180, 190. Now I'm pretty sure the thermostat I've got in it is a 180, so I suppose that's about right, isn't it? If it's got a 180 thermostat in it and it's sitting at about 180, that's probably about right. That's the temperature at which the thermostat opens, and the water does its thing. So I don't know. Yay, she's hot. Tiny bit of condensation there, but she is nice and clean down throughout. Why can I never get these oil caps back on? There we go. Yeah, fan's in there doing its thing. Radiator's hot. Obviously I'm not going to open it because, you know, lid doesn't feel too bad. Ow, thermostat housing is always red hot. So, oops, forgot to cut that one off. Doink. So clearly that's a better arrangement for the fan. because, you know, it's not obstructing any of the airflow at the front. The airflow is coming through the radiator first, and we know the fan is doing its job. Carbs aren't hot. They're warm, but they're not hot. But, you know, it's under the bonnet, everything's warm. It's a very tight fitting bonnet, so everything always appears to be quite warm. So, some goo. Yeah. Tell me what you think, guys. Is that normal? I'm guessing it's normal. Something in my head still isn't happy with it, but I don't know why. It all runs okay. Drives fine, starts fine, drives fine, pulls fine, doesn't smoke, doesn't make any weird noises, so no loss of power. I think I'm probably just being paranoid, aren't I? Because the head gasket went before, I think that is still in the back of my mind that, you know, is there something else at play? Why did the gasket go? Again, I think it went because I simply forgot to retorque it when it was hot. That's on me. And therefore it wasn't as tight as it should be, and when we had that super hot weather, for us anyway, that was enough to just, you know, push it through the edge, push the water through the rings a little bit, and, you know, ultimately give me the failure that I had. And I'm pretty sure that's cured. I'll show you the oil in a minute, you'll see what I mean about the oil. Look at that for clean oil. My God. It still looks like brand new oil. To the point where it's very hard to tell how much oil's in it. I know there's the right amount of oil in it because obviously I filled it up when I did the gasket. I'm just going to clean that and swab it again a sec. Yeah, we are. You can possibly just see it 2/3 the way up the dipstick. And that's cool with me. You don't want it overfilled as much as you want it underfilled, so middle of the road with the oil. Good. Yeah, so I think I'm just being paranoid, basically, because I had the failure and I wasn't 100% sure what caused it. Now I think I'm looking for faults, I'm looking for things to be wrong with it. Okay, the temperature seems to be on this, you know, a pinch higher, but at the end of the day, if it's getting up to like 180, 190, and it's just sat there, it's not going any higher, then clearly we don't have an overheating issue. It's just running slightly on the warm side. If I wanted to, I could take the thermostat out completely, or I could put a lower temperature thermostat in to get it going sooner, which, you know, I might do. But I don't think there's any reason to do that, really. Like I say, unless you're pegging the temperature out and you've got steam and you've got, you know, rough running and it's all starting to go to shit, then I think it's probably just best to leave it alone. That's what I'm thinking. Anyway, this video's probably gone on long enough, so just a bit of a catch-up really, see how the car is going. She's going absolutely fine, no problem at all. Looks a lot better now she's had a wash and a clean, and now I've got the fan on the back, I'm a bit happier in myself as well. So what's next? Because there's always something next, isn't there, when it comes to cars? That's never it. I think the next job for me, there's two things I want to get done. One is the carpets. The carpets inside are dreadful. They are carpets I picked up cheap from someone locally on Facebook, and they're already cut and torn. They just don't really fit right. I got my eye on a set of moulded carpets. Not throughout, I don't want them throughout, just literally for the footwells. Because you've got that strut in front of the seat, I'll show you. You'll see what I mean. If you've got a Spitfire, you'll know what I mean. You've got that body strut right there, which I've cleverly got hidden with a bit of spare carpet from my other car. So you've got that body mount strut that runs underneath that, and most of the carpets come in two pieces. You get the piece that goes under the seat and you get the piece that goes in the footwell. Well, I don't want that. I want a one piece that flows all the way under the seat and then goes nicely up under the footwells, hence why I've got these from the back seat of my other car sort of arranged in there somehow to cover it up, because it just looks ugly. So I've got my eye on a set of carpets that go all the way from under the seat over the hump and to the front, and they're moulded, so that shape of the tunnel there is already moulded into them, so they shouldn't pull up or anything else. Pair of those. So I think that'll be the next job. While I'm in there, I'm going to tidy up some of the wiring over there. The wiring I've got slightly wrong. The wiring comes, you can probably see the wiring down there actually. Boop. So currently I've got the main loom that comes out from the back of the fuse box, comes inside the pillar, then comes outside the pillar, runs underneath the carpet, and then goes back inside to the back, which is, you know, wrong, because the sill under the door is obviously hollow. So what I want to do is unclip it, feed it back through the sill, so it's not inside the cabin at all. That will look much nicer. And also with fresh carpets, like I say, I don't need the tunnel carpets. I'm happy with these ones and the one I've got over the gear knob. Quite happy with those, and the ones in the back. That's the only thing you can really see in this car as far as carpets are concerned. It is the footwells that, you know, that are doing it. So a new set of moulded carpets, and also I need to tire up a lot of the wiring. My wiring is atrocious. You know, I mean, yeah, you know. It's functional, it all works. This is all the wiring that goes to the lights at the front, and down the side there where I've put my relays and things in, I mean, it is, you know, it's bad. So I'm thinking what I'll do is get some of that wiring conduit, you know, the ribbed plastic tubing with a split down the side, tuck all the wires in, feed it around, and see if I can sort of cable tie it onto some points there, anchor up and make it look nice, because it's embarrassing, isn't it? And also I need to do some painting as well. God, all these things I keep forgetting. So those, the little side pods, whatever you call them, where the lights are, I completely forgot to paint those when I was painting the car, because obviously I had the bonnet on and I was painting it from the outside. But I've still got some automotive paint left, so they need to be cleaned down and painted. I could do with repainting the chassis rails. They were all lovely and black when I did the car originally, but now of course they've got all the crap on them and they just don't look very nice. And once all those wires are all tidied out of the way, it'll look much more pretty. And I probably will make some kind of scoop for the air to go through, because it just makes sense, doesn't it? If you've got a car with restricted airflow from the front, then why not make some kind of scoop? I'm not thinking some kind of scoop that actually goes down past the chassis rails, although that would be quite cool, wouldn't it? Like a whale mouth scoop that actually pulls air through the rad. Or where am I? I don't know, that'd be quite cool, wouldn't it? I don't know. I'll have to have a play. Yeah, but I'm realised I'm just lining myself up for lots more jobs, but as they say, when you've got your classic cars, it's never ending, is it? And of course now, again, we've got a nice sunny day today. It is mid-October, but you know, the weather generally in the UK this time of year is pretty bad. It doesn't get cold, but it's just wet. You know, the UK is known for its rain, because we're in the Gulf Stream. We just sit and it just comes up through the Atlantic. We get the warm, wet air, and it just absolutely hammers the island. Lots of wind, lots of wet, so probably not going to get a chance to drive the car much through the winter. So as they say, there's driving season and fixing season, and winter is obviously your fixing season. Well, I don't have much to fix because I've done it all already, so I will get it out and drive it at some point, but let's get it looking nice now. If for no other reason than just because why not? If you're going to go the whole hog, do the restoration, do all the work you've done, all the work I've done, why not finish it and actually tidy up the wiring, put nice carpet in, that sort of thing. I'm not looking to put value on the car. I mean, if there's extra value there, then, you know, great. That's not what I'm doing it for. I'm not trying to tie it up, make it look amazing, and then, you know, shift it on and go, yay, I've made, you know, whatever, a couple of grand on it. It's not. I can't see myself selling it anytime soon. I'll never get back the money that. I mean, I'll get the money back I've spent on it, but I won't get enough back to make it worth the amount of time and effort I've put into it, I don't think. Unless someone made me a stupid offer for it, said I'll give you like 15 grand or something for it, I'd jump at it, but realistically, what a Spitfire's worth nowadays, you know, nice ones you can get for like 4 or 5 grand. You know, if I sold it for 4 or 5 grand, I'd break even and maybe make a small buck on it, but again, not worth it. And I like driving it, and I like looking at it, so no plans to sell it anytime soon, just getting it nice, just because why not? If you're going to, like I say, if you're going to do the work, do all the work. Anyway, that's enough. Thank you for bearing with me thus far. Thank you for watching. If you're a new subscriber, again, thank you very much. I do appreciate it, I really do. It's always nice to know people are watching your videos, and if they help in any way, cool, you know. Any questions? If I've made any glaring errors, you were going, mate, what have you done? No, stick it in the comments. I always try and answer all the comments if I can. I only get about 5 on a video, so it's not much, you know. I'm not a big time YouTuber, so I can answer all the comments. I do appreciate it. And I will see you all soon, no doubt. So take care, have fun, and yeah, keep the old cars alive.